Good morning, Living Room Church. We just want to take this opportunity to congratulate everybody for sticking it through this year and finally starting to make our way out of lockdown. It feels amazing to have a bit of freedom back, but we just want to encourage you to meet up with people from church, go on a picnic with 10 people, go for a walk, enjoy the sunshine as it's coming into summer, and just start socializing again with our church family. We really, really hope to see you all here soon, and we just pray to God that it's sooner than we think and that we can be here before Christmas.
Yay, thank you, Chanel. And this morning, I just want to congratulate everybody who had partnered with Operation Christmas Child, because you guys have done an amazing job. In the end, our goal was like 100, then we went to 150, and we ended up getting 170 shoe boxes, which is amazing. So, God bless you guys. Thank you for partnering with Samaritan's Purse. The other thing that we really want to encourage you is we've been doing Bill Johnson's devotional this year, and we've had so many people who have really just connected, and it's been so encouraging to be able to share and go on the same journey, and we're reading the same stuff every day. So next year we're doing a brand new devotional by Henry Blackaby called Experiencing God. And so not only is it a devotional, there's also areas that you can write and journal in. And so I just want to really encourage everybody who hasn't committed to buying one to actually get on board and start. Let's make a commitment that next year this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop on board with the rest of the church, and we're going to be reading and feeding ourselves on the same stuff. So today is a deadline because we do need to order them from overseas. So if you haven't purchased or ordered yours, you don't have to pay now. You can pay later, but we do need to know exact numbers. So make sure you comment below and say, I want one, or give me a buzz or send me a message and I'll order one for you. The other thing, if you have been recently watching church online, why not say hello? We would love to find out who you are, a little bit about you, and just get to know you, because we would love to go beyond the lens and actually get to just have some conversations with you. So why don't you pop on, put a thumbs up and say hello, and we just love to connect with you. So whoever you are, may you just be really blessed with the worship and the word this morning. May it really touch your heart and may it lead you into a deeper encounter with God, because that is our heart. So God bless you and have a great Sunday. Bye.
When darkness tries to roll over my bones, when sorrow comes to steal the joy I own, when brokenness and pain is all I know, I won't be shaken. I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. Shame no longer has a place to hide. And I am not a captive to the lies. I'm not afraid to leave my past behind. I won't be shaken. And I won't be shaken. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't stand a chance when I stand in your love. My fear doesn't
Oh God, in your presence all fear dissolves away. All shame leaves. Glory to your name, Jesus. And God, we really do love your presence. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
In the glory of your presence, I find rest for my soul. In the depths of your love, I find peace, makes me whole. And I love, and I love your presence. And I love, oh, I love your presence. And I love, and I love you, Jesus. I love, and I love your presence. In the glory of your presence, I find rest for my soul. In the depths of your love, I find peace, makes me whole. And I love, yeah, I love your presence. And I love, and I love your presence, oh Lord. And I love, and I love you, Jesus. I love, and I love your presence. I love, and I love your presence. Declare it. And I love, your presence. And we love, I love, you, Jesus. I love, and I love your presence.
Hi, church. Today I will be talking on offering. I want to read from Proverbs 3:9. Honor the Lord your God with all your wealth and the first fruits. The purpose of tithing and offering is to teach you to always put God first in your lives. We don't give God money because he needs it, but rather because it teaches us to put God first above all else. I give my tithing and offering because I've made a commitment to God and a decision to keep God my number one. God sees that we give him our best and that we give happily, and in return he gives us in abundance. Don't you think God deserves our best? Well, I think he does. So let's all be cheerful givers and be helpful to others because what God has in store for us is incredible. Thank you.
Hide me now under your wing. Cover me within your mighty hands. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood, and I will be still and know you are God. Find rest, my soul, in Christ alone. Know his power in quietness and trust. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood, and I will be still and know you are God. And Father, you are king over the flood, and I will be still and know you are God. You are my God, yeah.
Let's sing When the Oceans.
When the oceans rise and thunders roar, I will soar with you above the storm.
Hello, Living Room family and everyone watching online today. Once again, it's great to be with you, and we don't take this for granted. I don't take for granted at all that you have chosen to watch today. You've chosen to be with us in this time and have church in your own living room. So I want to thank you from my heart to yours for your support over this period of time and really embracing something that's new and strange for us all. But you know what? God can turn this around. God can even do something in your living room this morning in a way that goes far beyond anything that we can try and put together. So I just want to pause for a moment and make sure that our hearts are aligned to God and that we're ready. So Holy Spirit, we quiet ourselves before you now, recognizing the fact that you are with us in our own living rooms, whether it be in Australia or any other part of the world right now, God. I thank you for your faithfulness. I thank you for your love, that as a father you embrace your sons and daughters wherever we are. So this morning, we simply say to you, here we are. We're ready. We're open to receive your message for this day. And above that all, your name be glorified, Jesus, as we choose to live this out. Amen. Amen. Well, this morning I want to speak to you about what you see and how what you see affects you. You see, perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. If we only see things from one point of view, it's easy for us to misinterpret a situation or misunderstand what's going on. I want to show you a photo that has been doing the rounds online for a while now. Maybe you've seen it, but it's a photo of Prince William. And from one angle it looks like something, but from another angle it looks like something different. Let me show you what it is. This first photo, you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, Prince William, why so undignified? You think it looks like he's showing the bird to someone, doesn't it? But the reality is that what's actually going on there is this. He's showing the number 3 to the crowd. Probably saying that he's got 3 children. You see, perspective is everything. So many times in life we can be like that with God, can't we? We can respond to God from a very limited and sometimes even a distorted perspective, and we completely get offended at why God would do this or why God wouldn't do this. We do the same with each other. We assume something and we see it from one point of view and we completely blow the thing way out of proportion because we didn't see it from another angle. We can misread a sign, we can misunderstand the outcome, we can misinterpret a situation. Hey, we do it all the time. But if we're not careful, especially in this season that you and I are in, we can get into all sorts of trouble because we view a situation from a wrong perspective. A great danger confronts us all. Let's be open and honest here this morning. No matter how spiritual we think we are, we have eyes to see and we have emotions that feel. But those two things, our eyes as we perceive and our emotions as we feel, can be very deceptive. They can be very deceptive if we solely rely on those things. I want you to be very honest with yourself right now. Have there been moments during this pandemic where you've been dragged down in your mood, dragged down in your outlook on life because of a news report that you watched or a social media post you read or a YouTube clip or a comment by someone? And so many of those things floating around our world right now are all one-sided. People get confused all the time because they misinterpret a situation from the wrong perspective. Can I be open and honest with you about my journey over this season? I'll do it anyway. See, for me personally, I've had some pretty heavy moments during this time. I've had to fight hard to not get swept up in all of the hype and lose my peace. I've had to face making some big decisions, not only for me and my family, but also for you as a church family. I take that very seriously. The weight of not being totally clear as to what's going on or where we are to go from here rests heavy upon me. And these things, if I allow them to, can steal my peace very, very quickly. I have voices of opinions trying to sway me towards their agenda. I've had to be very conscious of not watching certain videos or reading certain posts that have been sent to me. In this season, I've had to be so discerning because I could easily gravitate towards partnering with a rebellious spirit, or getting discouraged by the doomsday prophets out there. I could easily get dragged down a path of all that is wrong with this season and fall into hopelessness. So I've had to be very intentional with God's help, very careful with what I'm watching, with what I'm reading and hearing. So please don't get offended if I'm not watching everything that you send to me or reading everything you send to me. I'm being very careful, dear church, so that I am able, as much as I can, to hear the voice of God and know what He's saying and what He's doing, that I may lead in that direction. I'm not saying that I get it right every time. Thank God for His grace, because when we do mess it up, He's there to pick up the pieces. But I do value what you think. I do value how you're feeling through this. But I have to say this and make this clear. My sole priority, my first point of influence is from God. Yes, I do have some treasured people in my life that do speak to me, and I sense Holy Spirit in the words they speak. But I'm very protective of my heart. I'm very protective of my ears during this strange season. And having said that, I'm also very thankful to God. So thankful to God, because He's been so close to us during this time, leading us day by day and week by week. So like you, I too have had to fight to keep my peace and stand strong in the midst of pressure. Like you, I too have had many questions that are still missing some answers. Like you, I too have had to reject the temptation to grow complacent in my faith, to get lazy in my Christianity, and be very intentional about how I express my worship and devotion to God. You see, we're all in this together. And if we keep the course with the Father, if we keep connected to each other, we will get through this together undamaged. You see, the life of faith often involves walking through the valley of unknowns. Oh, what a place that is. Walking through the valley of unknowns. And when we're in that place, and many of us are right now, one of two things can happen. Firstly, you can get greatly discouraged as you shift your gaze down and you get consumed by what's around you. Or within a valley, it might be feeling like it's coming over the top of you. But when you look up, you see the light. You see the hope. You see the possibilities. Some people have an amazing ability to not let what's going on around them or what is being said of them affect their heart or affect their internal condition with God. Instead, what they see is opportunities to recover the wonder of God's beauty, God's glory, His majesty, His faithfulness, His mercy, His grace, and all of the good parts of that. They are able to see it and recover what the enemy wants to steal away from them. I remember we had a leaders retreat a few years ago now with Graham Cook, and sitting in the room with this great man of God, and he shared a story about how he and his staff are very intentional about creating a kingdom culture within their ministry. And he said this: there are no problems, just opportunities. There are no problems, just opportunities. So what he says to his staff is this: if you come to me with a problem, let me just say this to you, he said. We're not going to talk about the problem. Instead, we're going to seek God together for a kingdom solution and look at how God is providing us an opportunity to experience the brilliance and the power and the presence of God. You see, if we focus on the problem then has an influence over our heart. The problem then gets to set the agenda of our response. But if we have the attitude, hang on, there is no problem. Instead, there's an opportunity to see God shine in the beauty and the brilliance of who He is. That's not ignoring the problem exists. Come on, that's silly. But it's rather choosing to see it from God's perspective, getting His perspective and disenabling that problem to have a voice in your life. Why is that important to understand? Because understanding that aspect of God, where He sees things from a different perspective, His wonder, God is never out of control. God is never surprised by an outcome. When this pandemic hit the world, do you think God said, whoa, there's a new one? I haven't seen this before. God knew exactly what was happening, and He had already positioned us in preparation for what was to come. Do you remember the word He gave us at the start of 2020? Renew. Do you remember the scripture He gave us at the start of 2020? Isaiah 43, 18 and 19. Read it again. When God said He's doing a new thing, we had no clue what that meant. And now we have a bit of a better understanding. But when God speaks, when God interacts with us, sometimes it doesn't compute. It doesn't quite make sense. And we can even misinterpret what He's saying in light of what's going on around us. And I say that with complete reverence to God. But sometimes our interpretation of the season or the situation can be way off track because we made a choice to only see it through our own perspective or the voices that we've given influence in our life. And this is very applicable right now. But have you considered that in all of this that's been going on, God has been extremely active? Have you considered that God has already orchestrated a brilliant outcome? And He's waiting for you and I to look up and recover the wonder of who He is and what He's doing? I want to take you to the Word of God and share a great real life story about this very thing I'm talking about here today. There was a guy in the Old Testament. I really love this guy because he's open and honest and he admits where he got it wrong. There's a guy in the Old Testament called Asaph, A-S-A-P-H. And he got into trouble when he began to look down. Well, there goes my phone again. I keep on. Honey, if you're watching, I didn't mean to mute you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Anyway, Asaph. Okay, Asaph. Back to Asaph. Asaph got into all sorts of trouble when what was going on around him, when he looked down and he looked sideways, and he got so overwhelmed by what he saw that he almost lost his way. Asaph is a guy that wrote 12 Psalms in the Bible. He was a director of worship, a choir leader under the great King David. He was probably, scholars estimate, about in his 20s when David brought the Ark of the Covenant into the tent and he established 24/7 worship. Asaph was among that group who were responsible for ministering to God with 24/7 worship. Asaph lived in a remarkable era, the golden age of God's presence for Israel. Asaph witnessed firsthand the manifest presence of God that would be flickering above the ark. He saw the glory, the tangible glory of God. This worshipper of God under David did this for about 40 years of his life, and then under his son Solomon in the grand majestic temple. This guy knew the presence of God. This guy knew what worship was. He was awed by God's manifest presence, yet this worshipper almost lost his way. Why? Let's read it. Psalm 73. I'm going to read the first 14 verses with you. I won't have it on the screen, but there's the reference for you. But I want to read it out of the Passion Translation, which I really love. And it's almost like we're getting insight to this guy's personal journal. That's what it reads like to me. But this is what he said. He says, no one can deny it. God is really good to Israel and to all those with pure hearts. But I nearly missed seeing it for myself. Here is my story, he writes. I came so close to missing the way. I was stumbling over what I saw with the wicked. For when I saw the boasters with such wealth and prosperity, I became jealous over their smug security. Indulging in whatever they wanted, going where they wanted, doing what they wanted, and with no care in the world. No pain, no problems. They seemed to have it made. They lived as though life would never end. They didn't even try to hide their pride and opulence. Cruelty and violence is part of their lifestyle. Pampered and pompous, vice oozes from their souls. They overflow with vanity. They're such snobs. Looking down their noses, they even scoff at God. They are nothing but bullies threatening God's people. Loudmouths with no fear of God, pretending to know it all. Windbags full of hot air. I like that one. Impressing only themselves. Yet the people keep coming back to listen to more of their nonsense. They tell their cohorts, God will never know. See, he has no clue of what we're doing. These are the wicked ones I'm talking about. They never have to lift a finger, living a life of ease while their riches multiply. Have I been foolish to play by the rules and keep my life pure? Here I am suffering under your discipline, God, day after day, while they sail through life without a care. Can you hear his complaint? Have you ever felt like complaining that way too? It's like, God, here I am obeying all your rules, living the life of discipline and devotion to you. I'm struggling to get by. I feel like I'm not even making a difference. And yet here are these ungodly, wicked people acting like you don't even exist, enjoying life, prospering in all they do. God, it's not fair. God, woe is me. It's not fair. That's what happens when you look down and look to the side instead of looking up. In so many situations in life, we have a choice to make. Here the choices are: woe is me, or wow, God. Woe is me, or wow, God. You see, the first one is worship and the second one is worship. The first one, woe is me, is worship in the wrong direction. Worshipping you, worshipping the problem, worshipping a situation. But the second one is choosing to worship God no matter what things look like around you. Asaph got himself into trouble. He locked his eyes on the people around him, and then he felt sorry for himself. It's just getting a little bit personal. Maybe for me, I don't know. Probably for you too, I hope. Anyway, he unwisely compared himself to others around him. He became jealous. Get this, he became jealous of those around him that weren't walking with God because of all that they had and the way they were living. But he had forgotten what he had with God was far better than all of that combined. Have you ever felt that way? God, it's unfair. God, things are never going my way. God, others are doing well, yet me and my family, we are constantly struggling. Oh, look at them, God. They're enjoying life. They're getting wealthy. They're going on fancy holidays. They're driving nice cars. They're wearing posh clothes. Why, Lord? And what about me, Lord? That's worship in the wrong direction. Yes, life lived with a wrong perspective seems unfair at times. But what good does it do for us to gain the whole world yet lose our soul? Gain the whole world yet miss out on living in the glorious presence of God himself. Thankfully, Asaph stopped long enough to consider that what was happening around him and within him was not good enough. So he was able now to recover the wonder of what he had with God. He found himself slipping away, yet thankfully he caught himself before he got too late. Look at verses 16 and 17 in Psalm 73. He goes on to write, "So when I tried to understand it all, I just couldn't. It was too puzzling, too much of a riddle to me. But then," two very powerful words, but then, one day I was brought into the sanctuaries of God, and in the light of glory, my distorted perspective vanished. Did you notice the shift? Did you notice what happened when he made a different choice to see it from a different perspective? The sanctuaries of God, as described in the Old Testament, refer to the real, tangible presence of God. You see, in the Old Testament, God chose to connect his presence with a building, with a tabernacle, with a tent. These days, we are that building, we are that temple, we are that tent where the Holy Spirit dwells within us. The presence of God dwells within us. But back then, the presence of God was dwelling in a location. But I need you to understand this about that. Only in the presence of God do we get the proper perspective? Not being stuck in front of a computer screen, clicking clip after clip after clip. Not on social media 5 hours a day trying to research and trying to find the conspiracy behind this all. That is not the solution. You'll just get yourself more angrier, more aggressive, more frustrated with the government, more suspicious of the next conspiracy theory going around. We need to stop. Get into the presence of God quick. Be like Asaph and realize, if I keep on going down this path, I'm going to get into all sorts of trouble. I need to quickly get into the sanctuary of God, the place where I know He is, and reconnect my heart to Him. Life makes sense in the presence. Relationships make sense in the presence. Your entire existence makes sense when you're aware that you live in the presence of God. But outside of God's presence, we lose the wonder, we lose the gratitude, we lose the expectation of God's goodness. Asaph encountered God's presence, and that enabled him to recapture the wonder of what he had with his God. And yeah, I know, guys, it's easy to get swept away and lose sight of the eternal when everything around us is screaming so loud. But I want to lead you into a moment right now that will help you to embrace a picture. It's not just a picture, but it's also a reality that you get to live. I want you to see this moment like what Asaph experienced. As you step into the awareness of God's presence in your life, I want you to see it as a father lifting you up from under your arms and placing you on His shoulders. Can you see it? Maybe you used to do that with your kids. He's grabbing you and lifting you up and placing you on His shoulders. It all looks very different from there, doesn't it? Perspective changes. Burdens are lifted. Childlike wonder and joy fills your heart. I remember when I used to carry my kids on my shoulders. I mean, I wouldn't do it today. I'd probably end up with a broken back. But I remember in the old days when I used to carry my kids on my shoulders, the instant smile that occurred in that moment and the giggle that I would hear from them was breathtaking. Sure, hours after that, I would still have shoulder pain and back pain, but that doesn't matter because the joy of seeing my children have so much fun as they seem like they're on top of the world, not a care in the world, just loving, watching everyone from a high position. And when I was preparing this message this week, I really sensed the Father say that to me about this psalm, that He says, son, I want you to sit on my shoulders. I want you to see it from my perspective. I want you to get a higher look as to what's really going on. Because if you stay contained to all that you see around you, it can swamp you. It can derail your faith. It can consume you. I don't want that for you, the Father says. The Father is saying also to you, my dear church family, come to me. Let me lift you upon my shoulders because that's where you belong. I want you to see it from my perspective, God says. I want you to see, yes, it might seem messy. It might seem dark. It might seem overwhelming, but come up higher. Come up higher and have a look what I see. I sense the Father singing a song over us today. Do you see what I see? It's a Christmas song, but we're close to Christmas. I can get away with that. But as if the Father had lifted Asaph and says, Asaph, you're looking at the wrong thing. You're looking at it from the wrong perspective. Let me lift you up and put you on my shoulders and watch how everything changes. So what we're going to do now, there's a great song by For King and Country. Many of you love this song. It's one of my favorites. It's called Shoulders. But I've asked the worship team to prepare this song for us. If you know the words, sing along. But if you don't, just soak in this moment as this song declares the beauty of Him carrying us on His shoulders. I hope you enjoy it.
When confusion's my companion and despair holds me for ransom, I will fear no fear, 'cause I know that you are near. When I'm caught deep in the valley
chorus again, my help.
And my help comes from you. You're right here pulling me through. You carried my weakness, my sickness, my brokenness all on your shoulders. Your shoulders. My help comes from you. You are my rest, my rescue. I don't have to see to believe that you're lifting me up on your shoulders. Your shoulders. On your shoulders, your shoulders. Lifting us up, lifting us higher. On your shoulders, your shoulders.
So when you're on the Father's shoulders, confusion goes. Your incorrect mindset gets corrected. And you start to see things from heaven's perspective. I love what Bill Johnson once said, and it's this: outside of the presence, everything is subject to distortion. That's good, isn't it? You see, God's presence changes us. And only then are we able to change the world around us and not become victims of the society around us, not become victims over the pressure, victims over all that's been said and done right now. No, that's not us. You see, the glory of God's presence enables you to see it as He sees it. So when Asaph stepped into God's presence, his mood changed, and so did his hope. Look at verses 25 to 28. He wrote this: "Whom have I in heaven but you? You're all I want. No one on earth means as much to me as you. Lord, so many times I fail. I fall into disgrace. But when I trust in you, I have a strong and glorious presence protecting and anointing me. Forever, forever you are all I need." God really is all we need. Asaph realized it when he looked up. Asaph was awakened to it when he stepped into the sanctuary of God and was consumed by His presence. You see, when you recognize that God is all you need, you realize you've got everything. I heard it said once, when God is number one, there is no number two. That works for me. I love that. When God is number one, there is no number two. We like to create lists, we like to create categories. But when God is everything to you, God is enough. He's enough for your marriage. He's enough for your children, your community, your church. When God is number one, that's where the list ends. It may mean that in this season, we need to do things a little different. You see, Asaph did. Asaph could have kept on walking down that path of defeat. If he kept on looking at what was around him and focusing on the wickedness around him, he would have been a mess. For us, it might mean changing our surroundings. Thank God a lot of the restrictions are lifting. Maybe get out of your familiar environment and get outside and look up again. It may mean you fasting or pulling away from social media for a period of time so that you can hear God's voice more clearly. It may mean that you commit to getting up early each day and spending some unrushed time with God, sitting in a chair where you meet with Him, with Bible opened, pen and paper ready to write down what He says to you. Perhaps you need to crank up some anointed worship music and dance around unashamed and joyful like a carefree child. I'd do it now for you, but you'd be embarrassed. Worship God. Get into the presence of God and give Him the worship, even if your soul doesn't feel like it. You know what works for you. How do you best position yourself in God's presence so you can recover the wonder of who He is and who you are in Him? Recover the wonder of God's goodness, the wonder of God's glory. Your situation doesn't have to change for you to do that. Worship God for who He is and not what He can do for you. Get into His presence quickly. Get into His presence quickly. Do whatever you need to do to become aware of who He is in this moment. The word presence in Hebrew actually means something quite different to what you and I might understand it to mean. The word is panim, but that word panim actually means His face. So when a Hebrew reads that word and understands presence, they see it as the face of God. I love that. It's like a child running into the presence of Father and just looking up for His face. Parents, you know that when your children were restless and agitated or sick and unwell, that there was like an instant calmness that occurred the moment they locked their eyes on your face. That's what the word panim, that's what the word presence means. His face. Beholding His face. So in Psalm 73, the first 43 verses were Asaph complaining. Asaph feeling sorry for himself. Asaph comparing. But I want you to look at verse 28 again, but this time in the Message paraphrase. He writes, "But I'm in the very presence of God. Oh, how refreshing it is. I've made Lord God my home." Asaph knew where he belonged. Do you? Asaph knew exactly where home was. Do you? Or have you been wandering around these past few months, feeling agitated, feeling uneasy, feeling restless? Do you need to come home? Do you need to run into the sanctuary of God? Do you need to be quick to get into the presence of God? Do you need to be quick for Him to lift you on His shoulders again? That's where you belong. That's where your home is, dear church family. So where are you seated? Are you protesting or are you praising? Are you worrying or are you worshiping? Are you fearful or are you faithful? Are you bowed down low in despair, heavy burdened, or have you been raised up upon the Father's shoulders? I invite you to recover the wonder again. Look up again and behold His face, His panim. Learn from Asaph that the best place that you can be is in the presence of the Father. You're born again to live in that very real, very tangible place. Every day of your life can be lived right there. We like to use imagery, and I'll close with this. We like to use a lot of imagery in our church because I think pictures help. And we've often said that you are standing on the Father's feet and you're walking where He walks and doing what He does. But today let's add to that image, that father-son, father-daughter connection. And I want you to see Him lifting you up. Close your eyes for a moment, everyone. I want you to see the Father bending down with His hands of security, lifting you up under your shoulders and placing you and sitting you on His shoulders. Does it look different now? Can you breathe again? The air's clearer up there too, isn't it? You see, He doesn't have to say anything in this moment because you know you're loved. You know that you're where you belong. You're home. Now, if that is not your home, you are like an orphan that doesn't know you have a home to belong to and a Father that loves you. Well, today you do. Today you do. Will you come? Will you come and step into the presence, the sanctuary of God? Will you allow the embrace of Father to hold you now and remind you that this is where you belong? Will you surrender your life of sin? Will you turn your back on where you were and getting caught up with all that's going on around you and living life by your own terms when all along the perspective that you need to get is God's? And God has amazing things to say to you. God has amazing things for you. But should you just come into His presence, you'll quickly realize, wow, God, not woe is me. Wow, God, He's more than enough. So let me pray. Father, you never cease to amaze me how much you love us, how faithful and loyal you are. When we get it wrong and when we go along a path that you don't approve of, you don't run away in disgust. No, you reach out and you say, son, daughter, will you come home? Let me put you on my shoulders and let me help you to see what I see. This is where we belong, Father. So, Father, I pray for my entire church family and everyone watching right now. Flood their living rooms. Flood their cars, wherever they are. And just remind them once again how loved they really are. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. So hopefully you learned something from Asaph today. So let's get back into the presence again, yeah. It doesn't matter that we don't know what's happening. It doesn't matter that we don't know what's next. It doesn't matter that we don't know what the end of this year is going to look like, or the way this virus is going to behave, or how our government will decide. So it doesn't matter right now. All that matters is that you're home where you belong. I love you guys so much, and I want this for you more than anything else. God bless you, and have an amazing day on the Father's shoulders. Amen.
I don't have to see